Hi there, welcome to Wyckoff technical analysis session for Dogecoin. After yesterday's big market movement, it's normal to see Dogecoin is currently seeking a direction. Basically, the bulls and bears are both uh, reluctant to move because whatever happens next, like any big announcement from those two big countries, is going to drive the price to either direction. So it's normal for people to wait and see. So let's quickly take a look at both the weekly and daily charts and see where Dogecoin is heading. And as usual, these are the takeaways that I would like to give you during these sessions, both from Wyckoff stages and key price levels, and as well as any breakout timing that we can observe from the charts. So this is the weekly chart, and currently the price is staying somewhere around the middle of the entire candlestick. So the drop yesterday fell all the way to where the accumulation low was back in summer 2024. So you see it's almost at equal level at the lowest point during September 2024. And then now this test over here is not as low as this point, so that's something the bulls, or if you're bullish about Dogecoin, it's probably a slightly good news because it doesn't close somewhere near this white line at the center. However, this, like I said just now, isn't over yet. It depends on how that particular fight between the two countries evolve. If anything that's outside of the expectation of the general market expectation, then this test will realize. So we're still keeping this over here, and I'm going to bring up the percentage to 35% while the timing towards the distribution cycle will be slightly delayed unless the talks between those countries quickly resolve the issue at hand. And also it's time to extend this long-term playground swing box, because when the price comes down, we'll eventually hit another time point, and that's why I want to extend it now. You see this white dashed line that's coming down into the box, I'm extending it so it's cutting the box. The reason that this line is important is from the buying climax back in December 2024, leading to the sign of strength we have September 8th on that particular week. This forms a line where there are two crosses, actually three, but then those two aren't relevant anymore. So in previous session I shared about this end of October, early November breakout time point, and then eventually by mid-November, if the price is trading within this yellow dash line sloping upwards and the white dash line sloping downwards, then eventually there will be a breakout point as well. But given the price currently is staying below the yellow dashed line, unless there are good news coming out that pushes the price immediately back above this dash line, otherwise this dash line will become the short-term resistance for the price movements. And if that continues, meaning if it continues to trade like this, even if it breaks above the red key level, eventually we'll hit some point that there is one time point over here near the middle of January. So that's the first thing if the price travels below the white dash line, but getting back to above this white horizontal solid line. So that's one time point over there near mid-January. But we're still a few months ahead, like few months from that from happening, and we don't have to really worry about that at the time being, just to mention it to you early. Rather, if it really comes back up, then these time points will remain effective. So as of now, it's just a moment where we have to quickly check some of these indicators, like this Bollinger Band corner squeeze. In the weekly time frame, currently it's technically valid that the price is already in a squeeze area. But I shared in the previous couple of sessions, I consider this build up has started since June, as early as June. So the squeeze force is already there. It's just now that technically the indicator is also showing. You see this bar, this shading at the back, right? It's also showing officially it has entered into a squeeze, meaning a bigger price swing will eventually happen. So that's what happened October 2024 when the squeeze happened, and not long later we saw that move all the way to the buying climax. Likewise for the period, the prolonged accumulation cycle during 2023, all the way to the buying climax in March 2024, and that's not the end. It led to the bigger wave subsequently. So as of now, we don't know how big the wave would be, but then it's likely going to be something that's bigger than what we have seen from May to like the current time. So that's the big picture. Expect some more waves to come, and let's go to the daily, and it basically is showing the same thing. The squeeze is happening, and that's what happened back in early September, and that led to the waves in the 2 weeks afterwards. Well, right now, this white cross over here, let's enlarge this. This white cross we're having today, that's the normal thing that I mentioned in the very beginning. Because of that huge announcement, people would wait and see what kind of news will eventually come out, whether it can be resolved quickly or is it going to escalate and drive the price even like further down. So basically realizing what happened yesterday. So yesterday the price dipped to a point where a lot of people bought the dip and pushed the price back to the current level. However, if negative news continue to come out, the closing price of the candle will get closer to the bottom of the wick yesterday. So this, I don't consider that a realized low, because the closing isn't there. If it, like the body of the candlestick, the tail of the candlestick gets closer to the tip of the wick, I would consider that a realized low. So as of now, we're still not there yet. For those who had bought the dip, they may like it's a big or huge gain over here. From that point to where we're now, it's 90%, almost double. If you bought at the low and you're selling now, it's 100% gain. So that's a rare opportunity, let's put it this way. And then the current point, or yesterday's low, was at somewhere near the low we had back in September 2024. Also, the peak of the sign of strength during the accumulation period back in December 2023. So you see these lines are still effective even for such a drastic event. And for the current white cross that I mentioned, I extended this yellow box just now because currently it's staying right below the ceiling of the box, and this ceiling is basically formed by the sign of weakness over here during August, and then the sign of strength period. This backup last point of support period, basically, you see there are 5 candlesticks over here during July, so not too far back in the history, and then eventually June and also May. So every single month almost, we've got a couple of candlesticks finding support or resistance at this level, and currently the price is just the same. So try not to think that the price wouldn't come back to such a level, because just one news yesterday, it pushed the price back to this accumulation zone. So it's currently, we're just waiting to see whether this is really going to start accumulation, because the current level, I would consider this a preliminary support level. So what's next will probably be the selling climax if any uncertainty continues or negative news continues to come out. So be mindful of this. While I'm putting this as a 35%, I believe, in the weekly chart, so aligning this to what we have in the daily. So this LPSY is confirmed, so no more question mark required. So if it bounces to the upside, I did mention this yellow dashed line now becomes the resistance line for the price of Dogecoin. And other LPSY would happen around here, somewhere below the yellow dash line, and as well as this red key level of 25 cents. This now becomes like a dual resistance point if, when we get closer to early November, the price comes to test this level. But obviously it's a free level challenge. First, the ceiling of this yellow box currently at around 19 cents 75, so the current price is really close to that level, and that's where it got rejected earlier today when the price tried to break above this ceiling. And then the second ceiling is this long-term playground swing ceiling sitting at around 22 cents 50, and eventually this yellow dash line and the red key level. So you can see it's 4 resistance lines over here if Dogecoin is trying to get back to above the red key level. So not optimistic, obviously, because of such a big news, and it proves that crypto, especially altcoins, are still considered high risk investments. That's why people fled immediately, not waiting for things to happen. Obviously there are a bunch of people bought the dip, and it's probably once in, I don't know, it used to be once in a decade kind of activity, but interestingly it's like once in a half year activity now. So remember what happened back in March, right? We've got that kind of similar announcement, but then eventually it got resolved over the course of the next couple of months, and then we climbed back to the new climaxes just to get to a new hit yesterday. So for Dogecoin, the Wyckoff stage is still within the distribution cycle, the bigger picture, but then now it is coming down for probably an untest before it climbs back to the distribution cycle. So let's give ourselves a bit of patience, and I believe we'll see eventually when things resolved. The lowering of interest rates plus other, I don't know, stimulus factors may eventually drive the price back to the distribution cycle that we're waiting for. And Dogecoin isn't at the same pace as some other altcoin. It hasn't shown a climax in 2025 at all, unless, like I said in previous sessions, that wherever this line draws, hopefully these are not like mini distribution cycles, because what happened was back in March 2024, that was the peak of the cycle, and what we have here is definitely higher than what we had back then. So I hope that's not the buying climaxes back in July and September, because otherwise that would be really disappointing, and that we are already coming back down from that distribution. So I hope that's not the case. I hope what I tag here is correct, that we're still within a higher level accumulation compared to what we had back in summer last year. And obviously that's over here, what over here is even lower during 2022 and 23. Thanks for joining me for Dogecoin session today. See you in the next session.